So what is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a new POV drive. Today we are back in the that's my seatbelt. We're back inside the new Audi A3. So the facelifted model. We're in the 1.4 liter turbo variant basically. And yeah, we're gonna take it on a POV drive around this Pretoria area, so we'll be doing a lot of in-town driving, but I think I'll also record a bit on the highway back to Joburg. So yeah, let's talk about it some more, and I'll also be releasing a video of the full living with experience. I'm pretty sure the video is already out by now because I plan to post it before the POV drive basically. But in this video I'll mainly be focusing on the driving dynamics, the feel of the car, fuel consumption, and then the other details I would have broken down in the living with experience video. So while we're here, let's start with fuel consumption. I'm not sure if you can see, but in the center of the screen right there it's reading 6.5 liters per 100 kilometers. So when driving in town, you should expect anywhere from 6 to 7 liters per 100 kilometers. And I think from factory, the car is rated at around 6.5 or 6.6 liters, 6.6 liters per 100 kilometers. And yeah, it's possible to get that figure or even get below it. On the highway, on my way here to Pretoria, I got 5.3 liters per 100 kilometers. And generally, as a driver, I'm more of a chilled person on a day-to-day basis. On the highway, I was doing anywhere from 80 to 110 kilometers. So chilled driving. So with that style of driving, you can get some very, very low numbers in this car. It is absolutely efficient. So the other thing that I've noticed, I'm not sure if this is in my head or what, but I think this car is just slightly more efficient than the Golf. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty positive it is, just by a small margin. Like when you're driving on the highway and stuff, the numbers do drop quickly, whereas in the Golf, it's possible to get in the fives, but it takes some time. Like you need to be on the highway for quite some time. And the lowest figure I saw in the Golf was, I think, 5.7 or 5.9 liters per 100 kilometers. So, yeah, they have the exact same engine, gearbox, and power figures. But my experience in the Audi, I'm just getting numbers that are a bit more efficient. So, yeah, that's that. Pretty strange, I guess. And then, in terms of driving feel, one thing I noticed is the car is very responsive from the throttle to how it turns and stuff. But let me mainly explain the throttle bit. So like when you're doing pullaways, it's not too jumpy, but also it's not laggy. You know, as soon as you lift your foot off the accelerator, it just smoothly pulls away. You know, there are some cars which are very jumpy when you pull away. Like you let go of the accelerator and the car feels like it's about to lurch. Then you maybe panic a bit and you go on the brakes, and now you slam on the brakes and now it brakes hard. It can be a chaotic situation. One car that I can think of that does that is the current VW Polo GTI. If you've driven that car, man, doing pullaways in those cars, they're so jumpy and lurchy. And these, very smooth when you pull away, and also there is no delay when you lift your foot off the accelerator. It just quickly pulls away, but gently as well. That's one detail I noticed. It's the same case with the 8.5 Golf. So yeah, that's nice. So it's a bit more relaxing and easier to drive in town. It's easier to modulate the throttle basically. The other thing is the ride quality and ride comfort. It is absolutely phenomenal in these new cars. I mean, the car is running on big rims. I think they're either 18 or 19 inches. I'll put the actual figure on screen just to confirm. But still, like the way it rides over bumps, the sound insulation, it is such a dream, really. So it's one thing that really stands out. And the thing that I've been thinking about this whole car is it's such a dream car. Like, if you want something with a premium brand that is like compact, still with good tech and all that stuff, like this is up there as a dream car. It's just that the main problem is the price. I don't really want to dwell too much into this because I would have covered it more in depth in the living with video, but I'll just summarize quickly. The main issue is the starting price on these is like 800 and something thousand rands. By the time you've spec'd it, it's touching over 900,000, even closer to $1 million. And now the main issue is you also have the Golf, and this doesn't really offer much over the Golf like Audi would like you to believe. They sell this as a more premium car compared to the Golf, but really it doesn't really offer anything that you can't get in the Golf. It's just minor details, like you get electric seats on both the driver and passenger seat in the Audi, whereas in the Golf it's only on the driver side. The sound system Sonos just sounds better and more premium than the Harman Kardon you get in the Golf. The Audi is just a bit more customizable, like you can get colored stitching. As you can see, this one has red stitching, and also the type of materials you can choose for the seats. You can opt for like Napa leather, you can have Alcantara inserts, so it's just a bit more customizable. I think also with the color offerings you might get more options on the A3, but for me personally, I think these are minor details, because the main things like the tech stuff, the engine performance, the fuel consumption, you get all those things in the Golf, like ambient lighting, driver assist systems. The ride comfort is on par, like it's similar, even though I think the Audi just rides slightly more softer, like it feels a bit more premium, like the ride quality, but not a huge difference really. So yeah, that is the main issue with this thing. It really is such a dream car, especially if you don't care about performance. Like I said, if you want something with a premium brand with some nice tech, that's also nice to look at. This is your car, but its main issue is the Golf and the pricing in general. So yeah, that's where the tricky part is. But let's go back to driving dynamics. It feels very light on its feet. Like it feels like an absolutely light car, whether you're overtaking or you're just driving around twisty bends. It doesn't feel leery or lurchy. It's always ready to go. Like, don't approach it as a performance car, but it can be fun to drive. It feels light on its feet, like I already mentioned. And yeah, basically all that stuff. I'm pretty sure if I was in the Golf at this moment, I would have already been sitting on 7s in terms of fuel consumption, and this is still sitting on 6.4. So I don't know. I hope I'm not just making this up, but I'm pretty sure this car is just a tad bit more efficient, like I already mentioned. And I see there's a little battery icon there. I'm not sure if it's signaling if the battery is in good condition in terms of charge, or it shows that there's a bit of mild hybrid technology. But as far as I know, this car doesn't have any mild hybrid technology. So I'm trying to figure out why I'm getting numbers that are a bit better than on the Golf. Maybe when I was driving the Golf, I was a bit more paddle happy, or I was too excited, because that goes a long way. That counts a lot when it comes to fuel efficiency and stuff. And maybe I'm more reserved and chilled in this car. I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, man, this thing is such a dime to drive. The other thing that I've noticed is this car doesn't get as much attention as the Golf. I guess it's not as popular. I mean, the Golf looks so cool, especially with those IQ lights with the full width light bar and stuff. It just stands out so much. With this, you don't get any applause or compliments. People just look at it like any other normal car. Whereas with the Golf, man, you get applause, you get compliments, and yeah, that's one detail that I've noticed with the Golf. But that can be a good or a bad thing, because there are people who hate attention. They don't want to get any sort of attention. They just want a life that's more reserved. Well, you get that in this Audi. I guess it's just a bit more mature in our market. But it's still got the cool, crazy matrix lights, and they do all sorts of clever stuff. It's just, yeah, man, it's still a cool car. It's still a cool car. So I think in terms of like the in-town driving stuff, I'll leave it off right here, and then we'll catch up once we're on the highway on our way to Joburg. So you joined me a couple of minutes later. We're now on the highway. So I think about 20-25 minutes of in-town driving, and the consumption went all the way up to 7 on the dot, and it's now starting to drop. It's sitting on 6.6. So yeah, quite good. Whereas in the Golf 8.5, any bit of in-town driving, you're quickly in the 7s, and then even 8s. At some point it was even touching 9s. So yeah, I don't think all of this is in my head. I think somehow, some way, this car is just a tad bit more efficient than the Golf. Like I said, I have no idea why. I don't know if this car has mild hybrid technology, but I'll look into it, and then I'll probably highlight on screen. But yeah, in terms of performance, I mean, for normal day-to-day use, this is more than enough performance. 110 kilowatts, 250 Newton meters of torque. So it's easy to pull overtakes, it's easy to get up to speed. But one thing I'll say is, in the 8V generations, you had a lot more choice in terms of engines. I think there was a 1 liter variant, there was the 1.4, and then you could also even get a 2 liter with like, I think 130, 140 kilowatts. And now with these newer ones, it's only one engine, the 1.4. So I don't know if at a later stage they'll offer more engine variants, but yeah, it's a bit of a bummer that this is the only choice you get. But let's see. I think probably the issue would be pricing. I mean, if this car is already going for like 970,000 rands, imagine how much a 2 liter variant would be. I think it would start touching dangerous territory. Already this car is in dangerous territory. So now imagine the 2 liter 140 kilowatts or whatever being like $1 million, 1.1, and S3 is already costing that much. So if I'm to guess, I think this is the only engine we'll get on these cars. But yeah, highway cruising, I'm pushing a bit more now compared to when I was going that way. But yeah, man, I think this is a great car, just plagued by horrible pricing and the presence of the Golf. So in conclusion, like I said, this car doesn't really offer anything that you can't get in the Golf 8.5. Still get the same tech. It's just minute details, really, if I'm being honest. But is it a great car? Objectively, it is amazing. Really the stuff of dreams. It's just that, hey, man, in this economy, paying almost R1 million for a hatchback like this is just crazy business. So yeah, that's sad, really. It really does make me sad, in fact. I think these cars should sit around 600,000 mark at most. More than that is just ridiculous, really. 600,000 would have been perfect, I think. But hey, I'm not the decider. So yeah, you see this sort of thing, just chilling on the highway, cruising, it's brilliant. It really is brilliant. And also, if you needed to overtake, say like this, if you can quickly, I mean the engine screams and stuff, but you see already the speed is like over the speed limit, so it can do that so well. And yeah, I think I'll leave it off right here. There'll also be a nighttime driving experience coming, but I do hope you guys enjoyed this POV drive. And until next time, that's cheers from me.